I got an idea.
All right, buddy, we are live. Welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast brought to you by Twisted Tea and My Bookie. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who's sitting right here. What's up, yo, Tennessee Homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Well, we did this thing last minute, spur of the moment here, so we got no one viewing, which is probably good.
Yeah.
You know, give us a minute here to figure out what we're
like
talking
the old days, you know?
But I'm just racking my brain, Shane. I mean, I'm real quick. I'm going to go over the schedule. Chattanooga.
Yeah.
At Alabama. UL Monroe at Ole Miss. Southern Miss at Mississippi State, who just fired their coach. So no one cares about that.
No.
We're about the coach. Abilene Christian at A&M.
Yeah, that was tough.
New Mexico State at Auburn.
That may be something.
Georgia at Tennessee. I mean, that's about as lopsided
Yeah.
as any of these. Florida at Missouri. There we go. FIU at Arkansas. They're just waiting for the news for Pittman to get fired. Kentucky at South Carolina. That's probably the most competitive game. And then Georgia State at LSU. So I don't know. I'm kind of low on ideas, Shane. They're saying you're looking smart. You're looking dapper. I just told him he's looking in shape. He's passing me by here. How you doing? Let's talk about Cousin Shane for a minute.
Doing better, man. You know, I was on death's doorstep there for a little bit, but I've been taking these pills and I got a couple more days of it, and then I should have it knocked out completely. But other than that, I mean, obviously it was a wild weekend last weekend, and it's natural, you know, these roller coasters that all fans have throughout the season. I mean, that's why we love SEC football, Mike. It's because sometimes the stars align and it just, I mean, you're on Missouri high, you know, and then you're on maybe a Texas A&M low, you know, you just don't know at the start of the season. You got your optimism, you got your expectations, and sometimes, you know, you're blown away by the performance that you see from your program, and then other times you don't. So there's a lot of people 10 weeks in, myself included, that are probably looking at us like, damn, this ain't exactly where we want. I didn't want, as a Vol fan, to come into Georgia just saying, hey, we don't have a shot in hell, you know, and I'm not saying that because I saw it. The weather's perfect,
right,
Mike. So, but again, that's just kind of the roller coaster of college football, and that's why we love it, man. Because there are a lot of fans out there that are on cloud nine right now. You know, you got Missouri knocking on a 10-win season. You got LSU potentially having a Heisman candidate on their roster. I mean, they're having great games. You got Alabama that started out sluggish, and now they're looking like the powerhouse of old. And then, of course, Georgia, you know, lost a few of their star players along the way, but still looking like the potential three-time national champ. So a lot of good things going on out there in the SEC as well.
Right. And Carl, I appreciate you, Carl. I mean, this is exactly why we're going live. This is what we're looking for. Hit us up with some questions. Give us something to talk about. Because like you said, this slate is awful. Serious questions, says Carl.
Oh.
Is Kirby Smart on the hot seat after Tennessee shuts him out?
You know, I was wondering, like, how many points is too much for Tennessee? You know what I'm saying? Because it got us in a little trouble with drink, you know, this week. I'm just afraid that if Heupel doesn't take his foot off the gas, that maybe Kirby recruits well, and who knows, a couple of years from now, down in Athens, they return the favor. So, just serious question. I mean, crazier things have happened. Well, you know, it's so funny, Mike. How many weekends in a row have you and I talked about potential upsets and they just never have come? And then watch this be the weekend. And I'm not saying it's Tennessee and Georgia. There's some other quote unquote upsettable games that could happen, but man, wouldn't it be wild if it happened this weekend?
Right. And we're going to be down there. So we wanted to get that out there too. So we're going to be at the Tennessee Georgia game in Neyland Stadium Saturday. I'll be down there Friday if you want to come hang out. I wish I had the time. I'll tell you the time when I get it, but Feinbaum's going to be up there with his show again. So the plan is for me to do the show on Friday. We'll be up there on Saturday tailgating anybody that wants to come out. I know Shane's already got a running list of people that want to drink a beer with us, so that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Michael Kelly
sorry.
here, Georgia fan, says, "Can I take y'all out for drinks on Friday?" That's what
Hey.
I'm saying. What I know I'll be down. I don't know if Shane will be down there on Friday or not, but I know he'll be down there on Saturday. I certainly will be. And burgers. He's upping it. I said, I don't know if Shane's going to. He said, well, we got burgers too.
Shane's back in. He's losing weight, but he ain't lost weight. Hey, if you, I've got a list. I've got a handful of folks already sent out their tailgate locations. So absolutely, man. I'd kind of like to go up there. We're going to be up Circle Park. We're going to go. I've got a few that we got to hit down at the Vol Navy. Maybe after the game, maybe have a little nightcap after that victory and watch the uprights float down to the bottom of the river. But that, I don't know if you got any play, it doesn't matter. Tennessee, Georgia, wherever you're at, love to come out and hang out with you guys, drink some cold beer before the game. Cause again, that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah.
Is, the fellowship with friends. And, we got a lot of great cousins out there.
And Childress, he wants to know where I guess he's going. Bradley
Childress is going. All right.
He's down the tailgate, just loaded up. He said so.
Oh, come on now.
I'm just saying we may have a party down there in Knoxville this weekend. So just something to monitor. I probably should have said this already. We got Jake Wimberly on the show.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do it on this live show. Well, I'll post the video probably. I don't know. I may even do it tonight. If not tomorrow, first thing in the morning. So if you're just listening to this, we're going to throw that audio here on the end. But I got Jake Wimberly interview. He's going to talk about Mississippi State and the opening there, Texas A&M, all that. So we'll get into that. But here's another question, Shane. Who are you more excited to see? Paul Feinbaum or Dolly Parton? You see, Dolly's going to be at the game.
You know, they're both big for me. But Dolly, I mean, I've known Dolly for 40 years, Mike, you know, so I would say if I ever had an opportunity, I would probably be a little bit more shell shocked because I've already went out and had dinner with Paul, you know, so having one with Dolly, I've not quite gotten to do that just yet. So I'd say it's a 1A, 1B situation.
Yeah. All right. Well,
let me ask you this too.
Yes,
Have you noticed all the old flight tracking info floating around? Don't you miss it? I've seen them. I've seen flight tracks everywhere. I'm looking at, everybody knows everybody's salary now. You know, that we got some of these kids, man, spend all kinds of time on these contracts that they're currently in. You know, they know more about Jimbo's buyout and all this. It's just kind of funny to watch, but it's also, I've been there, man. I've been on that end, waiting for the next guy and just praying that we don't miss or that we get a home run higher because you never know. The next great may be the one that walks through those doors and takes your program from here to here, you know?
Right.
So, I know it's like Christmas, you know, and you remember chasing little Chucky around like, was that him at Calhoun's, you know? Peyton Manning, you never know. So, I just love this time of year as well.
Yeah. And it sounds like, Chip Kelly's going to get fired at UCLA, they're saying.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, that's obviously not relevant to SEC. But then all of a sudden, if there's a candidate, now he's got to wager A&M, Mississippi State, UCLA.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that would factor in, but, you know, Florida fans know well, back when Chip Kelly got to UCLA, they wanted him.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. They'll debate. We never offered him. That was when they hired Dan Mullen, which I think even as badly as it ended for Dan Mullen, he was still more successful than Chip Kelly. So I'm not saying they should have hired Chip Kelly by any means, but you just never know how these things are going to play out, you know?
Mike, it was like yesterday I was cropping Chip Kelly's face on one of Tennessee's coaches because I was wanting him to come in there, you know? There was that time. Isn't it crazy how sometimes Sumlin, we talked about him the other day. That was one that was floating around. I thought, hey, man, he'd be great over here in Orange, you know?
Right.
So it's funny how these names just kind of go up and down, you know? One time you want them, sometimes you don't.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, Shane. Texas A&M opening.
Yeah.
We don't know. Nobody knows. Anybody
Right.
that says they know, they're full of shit right now.
Even Johnny Manziel doesn't know.
He'd take it, but it's not going to be Johnny. You know what I mean? So, not asking to name coaches or anything,
Yeah.
but who should they hire? Do you think, Shane? Do you think we already kind of pulled the trick where we look around, successful coach, won a championship, was in the ACC, Florida State. I know they were kind of teetering off a little bit when they hired him, but that was a big time hire.
Right.
Do they go that route again? Do they spend all the oil money, get somebody, or would you prefer they go, even if it's like G5 or something like that, or would you hire one of Kirby's assistants?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think A&M should be looking for in their next football coach? Just kind of a general assessment, offensive, defensive, anything at all stand out to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a tough answer because there's so many different ways that you can go with that. And I don't really think money is an option down there. I mean, you don't want to go out there and sign somebody to $100 million contract, but you would if it was the right person. I think if and I'm not mentioning names, but I'm going to mention a name like an Urban Meyer or somebody like this that has that large track record of winning national championships, sure, you're going to write a check for that. But if you can't get that, I think you go with somebody that, brings some life to a program that's got a little juice at the stand, that maybe leans a little more toward the offense, because this day and age, that's what people want. They don't, we talk about how great Georgia's defenses are, but we're also crowning the players that have come out on the offense. They've been just as productive. So, that I think that's where you kind of lean. Somebody that's a little bit more innovative, because you just went through 6 years of non-innovation on that side of the football. Somebody that can develop quarterbacks, somebody that has the ability to potential, make good hires that you've seen maybe a little bit of a track record of them going on and excelling and doing another, maybe a Power 5 job or a head coach somewhere else. That's kind of what I want to see. Somebody like, I don't want to mimic Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and all these guys, but that's what they do. They create a clinic down there, and they constantly pumping guys through there. So
let's play a little game here, Shane.
Yeah.
And I already kind of threw this out on another show already. And I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but I'm just curious to see if you land on the same coach that I am kind of thinking of here. Let's just pretend that one of the current SEC head coaches takes the A&M job.
Yeah.
Who, and it could be any, I don't care, but who do you think, Shane, most likely for that to happen? A current SEC head coach leave his school to take over at Texas A&M, and I'm just curious if you'd land on the same one that I'm thinking.
Probably not, because I don't think you think this is possible. But Lane Kiffin is the guy, and just
even after all his trolling, you think
it doesn't matter
him?
Because what he's doing is he's saying, "Hey, I don't have the money for NIL. I don't have the recruits." I mean, he's basically begging for some of these other, maybe not Ole Miss, maybe it's more for Ole Miss to pony up and help them out financially.
Yeah.
But on the opposite side, I think anybody from an outsider is saying, "Hey, man, if they did have a recruiting hotbed, what could Lane Kiffin do with that? I mean, look at it. We were convinced that they could potentially beat Georgia. They went, and beat LSU. They've won some big games. What would they do if they had, And it's just, I think that's the one that I naturally draw to because of the complaints Lane Kiffin's made up to this point.
Well, you know what? One thing that's interesting, Shane, which you may be right about, but I'll tell you why I'm trying to. Phone's going off here. Shit, it's so close yet it's so far. Let me get that in just a second, but let me kick it over to you, Shane.
Yeah,
but he's really good friends with Sarkisian, and I hear he's pissed that Sark is at a blue bud that can win it all. Thoughts on that? Like jealousy, because I don't know if he can win it all at Ole Miss.
Right. Oh, well, maybe. You're saying Lane.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course he's jealous. I mean, that's the thing. When you're one of the 14, 16 coaches in the SEC, it's a small group. It's not a large group. And, and you think about who Kiffin talks to. Hell, they got a secret thread they run with Kirby Smart,
Right.
All of Nick Saban's assistants. They're always chirping at each other. And there's just that I mean, we're all competitors, and I'm not saying that Lane Kiffin is more jealous that Sark has that. But here's a guy that is part of that network that has, like you said, more resources and an established pipeline, and it's a little bit tougher. And he knows what the future looks like. It's not like Ole Miss is just going to turn the switch and then all of a sudden become a Georgia 2.0. You know what I'm saying? That is a long way around. There's boosters. There's just the money. I mean, it's just, I don't know if the infrastructure set up that it could, produce at the level as an Alabama or an LSU,
But that was not the coach, Shane, that I was hoping
Really?
you'd say. Because I think that's the obvious one.
Yeah.
But I think you're overlooking it.
Ole Miss is like, shut up, Shane. Just shut up. You sound like that other reporter that said he was going to Auburn. Hugh Freeze? Is that your man? Oh, okay. Who is it?
Drink. Well, all the success he's having.
Yeah.
He's tried to catapult to another job before in the SEC. At least that's the way I've been told by many people. Drink. Because this is what happens, man. You have a big year. Sometimes you jump to another job. You think the grass is greener. What's your thoughts on that? Could you see that?
Yeah, I do. And man, that's interesting. And the thing I like about it is the innovation that he's done outside of off the football field, getting the in-state recruits, not to mention the recruits that he's got committed and has committed. I mean, he's got some big dudes down there, and he's doing it with less. And I think that's the old argument. Like, how many times have we said, hey, if you take Stoops out of Kentucky, how good would he be?
Right.
We all play that game, but it's hard not to argue when you're sitting there at a potential 10-win season, not just knocking off, but beating the shit out of some other opponents that were, you were an underdog to. It's hard not to say, what would he do if he had a different vehicle to drive in, So
now, how about one more? Now, again, I don't think any of these are realistic. I'm just throwing them out there because they're entertaining, and the comment sections are getting pissed. So
just to steal all the coaches.
But there has been, and I don't know that there's any shred of truth to this.
Yeah.
But I have heard Shane Beamer to Mississippi State. And how interesting is that? He used to coach there. His wife, I believe, is from there. That's where he met her when he was an assistant. And you may say, well, why in the hell would Shane Beamer make that jump? And I don't know that the coaches necessarily think this way, Shane, but the reality is, more often than not, when you get fired, and I'm not saying he's getting fired at South Carolina, but when you get fired, you're kind of tainted.
Yeah.
And it's hard for you to get another crack.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, Gus got fired.
Right.
He had to go to UCF. Nobody, I mean, who the hell watches? You know what I mean?
Right,
You get fired. You it's hard to come back from that. And some of these coaches, I truly believe, Shane, they're trying to stay ahead of getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
If things are trending poorly, hey, maybe I'll take Mississippi State. You know what I mean? Maybe I can outperform. And I think, was it you that has said this before? What is this team going to look like without Spencer Rattler? Where would they be now without Spencer Rattler?
Right.
And they're recruiting well. They really like this Sellers, this freshman. I mean, he may be amazing. So I may be talking out my ass here, but he may not be close to Spencer today. He may be in 3 years, but is Beamer going to get 3 years? If they're down years, he may not.
Right.
So I don't know. What's your just thoughts on that Beamer to Mississippi State?
No, that's one of the ones that kind of surprised me. And I guess my first reaction, like a lot of people, was like, why don't you just hire Dan back, But you're right. When you lose a job, it's tough, but it has been done. Muschamp, Coach O, Hugh Freeze. I mean, there's a lot of them. If they can prove they can win somewhere else, they'll have an opportunity to get back. But if you get fired from South Carolina, Muschamp still don't have a head coaching job. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
does that happen? And I'm not saying Beamer gets fired or anything. In fact, I think Beamer. I just don't think it would be a smart move for him because. Say what you want about Shane. A lot of people within that program, fans alike, love Coach Beamer and what he's created. And the fact that Spencer is there is because of Beamer, and the fact you got a Sellers, back there, which I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be awesome. I'm already buying into the goggles. I'm going to get a pair, So when I go walking, I have my seller's goggles on. But I just think that the next chapter is he's already done, kind of set that foundation of expectations there in Columbia, and obviously the season has been has been a little bit of a disappointment, big disappointment. But when we've dropped these divisions, that's going to benefit programs like South Carolina that notoriously have the toughest schedules than everybody, because now they won't. They'll have a schedule that's similar to everyone else. And so I think there's going to be an opportunity for them to hover more toward the top of that list as opposed to the bottom. So, I think that's just noise. There's a little smoke, and it kind of seems similar to what you were talking about, agent talk, Yeah. Like, hey, let's float that name out there so that we can get Shane a longer contract or a bigger contract to stay in South Carolina.
How about this comment from Slim Shane? He's talking Beamer.
Slim Shane?
Well,
it's
just Slim,
my arch enemy.
He says cocks and hot dogs versus cowbells. That's the battle for Beamer right there.
Oh God,
I like that.
Yeah.
And how about this one from Jenna? I get what they're saying, but Drink will not leave Mizzou for the pressure cooker of A&M. But I don't think it's a pressure cooker. Hell, I mean, we've been trying for years to tell them Jimbo sucks.
Yeah.
Why? You talk to a lot of these Aggies. It took till recently before they turned on him.
Yeah.
They were all, we'll get it right this year. Jimbo deserves this. I mean, that seems to be the most patient school in the SEC, Texas A&M. And maybe that had something to do with the contract, but I can't believe there was even consideration to give that man year 7, given all the resources he had and the lack of results. So I don't know that A&M is some pressure cooker. I really don't think it is.
No, I don't either. And I think that it's a good opportunity. That's, they're kind of in a unique situation because they know what they have too, and it's not like the last coaches that A&M has went after, they went after all these quote unquote, fits the mold kind of guys. So, but it doesn't really matter what you think. I mean, Nick Saban was not the first coach they were going to hire down there in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? He's working over at Jackson State, ain't he?
Rich Rod.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, sometimes you whiff and sometimes you hit home runs, and unless you've got a handful, there's like 3 or 4 names that is going to be productive. You're one thing that I keep floating out there, or I've seen floated out there, and I'm not saying it's ever going to happen because there's just too many ties. But if you remember when Texas had that opening many, many years ago, there was rumors Nick Saban was looking at it. You remember that? They were going down there, Miss Terry, they caught her, and down there and all that stuff. If money's truly no option here, it's like, why not swing for a fence? You got big names like, and I'm not saying Harbaugh, but like an Urban Meyer or even Kirby Smart. I mean, why not offer him $15 million or something stupid like that? If you can afford it, because, and I'm not saying Kirby would, because obviously he played at Georgia. He's built something and he would never leave, but a similar context, money talks and bullshit walks. So, Texas A&M, they're holding their cards, and I know you're thinking urgent, but I don't know. They may take a little bit more time than we think here.
And then let me ask you this real quick, Shane. Running short on time here, but seeing a lot of these fans are, when's Arkansas gonna fire Sam? They're kind of like already moved on, and they're like, who's our next coach? You know what I mean? Like they're already where Mississippi State and A&M are at. And again, I'm not calling for Sam's job. They've been awful at times this year, so I think it's very unlikely that he's back. I hope he is, and I hope he turns it around. But let me ask you this: if they've already made the decision to let him go, like in the building or what have you, are they setting themselves back by not just going ahead and doing it? I mean, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think so. And I think a lot of
that portal window's coming up.
Yeah, but if you don't fire him until after, I told you, we said we're not going to do that, but what if they fire him, late December? I don't know.
Well, then the portal reopens when you fire a coach.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Again, there's how many coaches have been fired early and late, and it doesn't seem like there's really a huge competitive edge there. It is what it is. So I don't know. I think that's the thing, is they're probably trying to figure out if they want to fire him. I mean, because now if you fire Sam, you still got Mississippi State down the street with an opening. You got Texas A&M down the street with an opening. Mm-hmm. Lord knows what opens up around you up north. There's a lot of, So I don't know. Maybe this one you just kind of, hey, let's play it by ear. Or maybe we do one more year. Give Sam another shot. Let him get another, because when he did, it was just 2 years ago, we were crowning him as the coach of the year when he knocked off Texas, so maybe we just need some coordinators and stuff. I don't know. I'm always going to have a soft spot for Sam.
Yeah.
And I just don't think and I get it. I put a poll out, man. And a majority of Arkansas fans wanted him fired.
Right.
Now that's
fans always want people fired.
I know. But
there's
again,
always an upgrade, but that's not.
The grass ain't always greener.
It's
either.
not. It's truly not.
I mean, Chad Morris may be walking back through them doors,
The next one, yeah. Yeah, MIZ, SEC, he's asking, how much is Jimmy Sexton paying me to throw out drink?
Yeah.
I mean, hell, he's making $7 million a year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he can get much more than that.
Well, I mean, 9's that number, it seems like,
$9 million?
Yeah, it seems like you got to get him up to 9. Maybe, I don't know. But you got it's a small window, man. You got to capture it when you have it. It's like lightning in the bottle. And because then you can make the same argument with Missouri. What did they look like next year? Do they take a step back? Because say what you want, a lot of people critiqued Missouri's schedule right out of the gate, saying, hey, they didn't belong in the top 25 because of who they played. Well, next year, they're not going to have that luxury. It's going to be a lot tougher. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying his back's against the wall, but if an opportunity opened up in College Station and drinks on the short list,
yeah,
by God, you better believe I'm going to interview for it.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, any closing thoughts here? If you're listening to the audio version on Wednesday, we're going to kick it over to this interview with Jake Wimberly, friend of the show. He's been on many times. Great stuff always from Jake. But we're about to close this up because I'm actually going to record the interview here with Jake. Any closing thoughts before we cap this short live show?
No. Again, is it a great college weekend? Outside we're saying maybe not right now, but again, in a few more weeks we won't have this. All these teams, there's going to be a handful of these teams that aren't making a bowl game, so you got 2 games left. So yeah, you better damn believe it's going to be a fun, wild weekend, and I can't wait to get in there and scream and yell for them balls and drink cold beer and hang out with my friends. So I look forward to seeing everybody there Saturday if you make it out. If you get out there Friday with Mike, hold you one of them that SEC podcast signs behind him.
Yeah, we might both get banned that way.
No way, man. Maybe we shouldn't do that. I'm sorry.
Real quick, Shane, it was funny. Last time we went, there was more people. They didn't give a shit about me. They were calling for Cousin Shane.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to try and get there. I Friday. I mean, I've got burgers. I mean, we'll see. We'll see where we go.
But all right, buddy. I appreciate you as always. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially on the live show. Sorry for the last minute going live, but it is what it is. But we appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go.